Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, crybaby Adam Kinzinger, the FBI, the DOJ, the IRS. What do they all have in common? Well, of course, yes, lies and corruption. But what they also have in common is that they are pathetic, but they also are extremely harmful and damaging to our country. And what they should now all have in common is that they should disappear from the country for good. Their time should be up. Now, Wyoming took care of Liz Cheney, but there's plenty more swamp to rid our country of, and we are well on the way. Joining us now, Eric Trump, Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization. A little hard on Liz there, but you know what? The MAGA might has spoken. Give us a Trump response to Liz being taken out with the trash, as they say in Wyoming.
Well, Eric, your monologue was great. You're right. When you talk about fentanyl, right? I've got young kids. That's a major, major issue that she's doing nothing about as she perpetrates these hoax, talking about the January 6th committee. She was wasting all this time. She's not doing a single thing about that problem. She's not doing a problem about the border, not doing anything there. She's not doing anything about ridiculously high gas prices, our economy, inflation, so many other problems this nation has, the weaponization of the criminal system, as you mentioned so well. And there's so many other things in there that, frankly, were left off the list. I mean, how about the weaponization of the IRS toward conservatives? How about the scandals down the border where Border Patrol officers were apparently whipping illegal immigrants when they weren't actually whipping illegal immigrants? Again, another kind of press story to fit their own narratives. Anything that they can do to distract from the horrible economy, Eric, that they have right now, distract from the problems on the border, distract from inflation, distract from gas prices, the disaster that is the Russia-Ukraine situation, the disaster that is the China-Taiwan situation as military jets literally circle the island as we speak, the disaster that is Iran, the lack of respect that we have all over the world. That's exactly what this administration will do. And by the way, Liz Cheney will not do anything about it. She perpetrates another hoax, which is, frankly, January 6th. And that's why Wyoming unanimously last night took a person that no one had ever heard of before, a newbie to politics, and literally voted for her overwhelmingly, over somebody who had been a political dynasty. And last night, my father killed another political dynasty, and that's the Cheneys. He first killed the Bushes, then he killed the Clintons. Last night, he killed the Cheneys. He's been rhino hunting ever since he got into politics, and last night he was successful again.
Yeah. Any question, Eric, that the Republican Party is the party of Trump? He has an overwhelming, I think it's 92% of the endorsees that he gives have won their races. Any question, is this the one, the Liz Cheney, this is the one he really wanted, wasn't it?
There's no question. I mean, it's not even the Republican Party. I'd say it's actually the Trump Party. If you look at all the people who have been successful, my father's record last time I saw it was 176-6 in terms of the people that he's endorsed in the last, whatever it was, 6 months. It's incredible, Eric. I mean, no one's ever had a record like that. Most of the time, endorsements are worth absolutely nothing. No one cares about endorsements. Unless Donald Trump endorses you, and then, frankly, it means everything. Because guess what? It's a totally different party under my father. Look what happened with the Latino vote in this country. Look what happened with the African-American vote in this country. Look what he did for, working-class individuals in this nation. They've completely come across. I mean, my father was winning counties across the country. Miami-Dade, that had never been won by a Republican before. My father won it overwhelmingly. I mean, he literally brought in a whole new party that stands for something totally different than the rhino class of the Republican Party ever stood for. He stood for the, working men and women, fought for the United States of America, didn't want bad trade deals all over the world. We never fought this. He was anti-war. He didn't want to go to war. He's the first president in United States history that didn't start a war. He wanted to take Americans out of war zones as opposed to putting them in. I mean, very different than Cheney, who did the exact opposite, his entire career. The guy was effectively a warmonger. All he wanted to do was start wars. I mean, my father's really redefined what the party is, how the party speaks to its constituents. And I think it's exactly why you have this overwhelming support and all of the people he's endorsed.
Yeah, Eric, I want to play another soundbite from last night of her concession speech, Liz Cheney, where she literally compared herself to Abraham Lincoln, and I was just scratching my head. Take a listen, folks.
The great and original champion of our party, Abraham Lincoln, was defeated in elections for the Senate and the House before he won the most important election of all.
Not only that, Eric, Liz Cheney, there are reports that she spent only one half of her campaign coffers on that run. She lost anyway, but that means she has half of it left. She clearly is saying, I'm running for president. What are your thoughts? What are the president's thoughts, would you say, President Trump, that is, on Liz Cheney running for president?
Here's what I can tell you. She's no Abraham Lincoln. You know what the difference between Liz Cheney and Abraham Lincoln is? Abraham Lincoln was actually liked by the American people. She lost her state. She lost Wyoming overwhelmingly. It wasn't even close, Eric. I mean, she absolutely got dismantled in her own state. And this is by a person that, again, was a political newbie. I mean, she got absolutely trenched. She had the political dynasty. She had her father, who was very, very well known. He wasn't known for his shooting skills, but he was certainly well known in politics.
That's true. That is
she
true.
got absolutely hammered last night. I mean, it wasn't even close. And I mean, what she accomplished? Name one accomplishment of Liz Cheney, and I think that's why people vote her out, right? They realize that she's rhino class. I think the rhinos are frankly more dangerous than most of the Democrats, to this great country of ours. They do nothing to ever help the problem. They want to stay in power. They're enamored by the beautiful white marble halls of Washington, D.C. They never want to leave that. And, she was thrown out of there last night, and I think the country's better off for it.
So I tweeted a little earlier that Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney are, you were coming on, Eric Trump was coming on. I said, hey, anything you want to ask? You want me to ask Trump if there's some room in the Trump organization? They need a job. Maybe are you guys hiring? I'm kidding. We'll leave it right there for a moment. Eric's staying with us after the break. We have a lot more. I want to ask about Pence suggesting he might testify to January 6th after the break.
If they were to call you to the committee to come and testify, Trump, would you be agreeable?
Well, I would, if there was an invitation to participate, I would consider it.
So, Eric, here's a man who your father named as a vice president. I don't know if he'd be in politics right now if he hadn't, and then chose him again when he ran a second time when everyone, including me, thought he should have dumped him in 2020 and picked someone else. But he stuck with him. Your father stuck with him. A little backstabbing going on here?
Well, first question that they should ask is, why didn't they call up the 10,000 National Guard troops my father approved? I hope that's the first question out of their mouths because, Nancy Pelosi never did anything to lock down the Capitol. No one ever called up the National Guard troops that, again, my father approved to be around the Capitol. I mean, they can start there. But, Eric, all this is a distraction. I mean, you look at January 6th, this unfair committee, not a single Republican on it, real Republican. The one Republican that was actually on it last night was, pretty much politically executed in the polls by her own constituents who don't like her. You look at the raid at Mar-a-Lago, 30 FBI agents going in there because they wanted to get documents for the National Archives, that glorified library. I mean, give me a break. You look at the Russia hoaxes. You look at everything they try and smear Donald Trump with, and that's all it is. Eric, they're petrified of him. They know my father is probably the greatest thing that's ever happened in U.S. politics. It's a movement unlike anything that we've ever seen before. You literally go to rallies. I speak all the time at churches and other things. I mean, I walk into audiences all the time. They're chanting, "We love you. We love you." I mean, when has that ever been heard of in politics before? I mean, my wife and I, Laura and I, were at dinner the other night, and there were two tables that started arguing about paying for our bill. It was a little casual place. They wanted to pay for our bill to say sorry for what the country was doing to my father, to our family. Right? People right now would crawl over broken glass for Donald Trump. They see the most inept president this country has ever had in Joe Biden, all the problems that we have as a nation. And conversely, you go back to Donald Trump, which had the fastest growing economy, the best stock markets, the lowest unemployment in history, perfect, inflation numbers. I mean, inflation that's under 2%, the lowest gas prices ever. We were respected around the world. Problems like North Korea were taken care of. No one was messing around. You didn't have botched withdrawals out of Afghanistan. You didn't have Russia invading the Ukraine. We had peace in the Middle East. My father was, bombing the hell
Eric,
out of the terrorists.
I will tell you, and I told our audience last night, I spoke to your father yesterday afternoon for quite a bit of time. For him, it was like 10 minutes, but that, as you know, that's a lot of time with President Trump. And he brought that up. First of all, he sounded great. He sounded fantastic. It was like he was very upbeat. He was very confident. Eric, great to talk to you. He watches the show. But I found it interesting. He said, if I were president right now, Putin wouldn't be doing this in the Ukraine. She wouldn't be threatening us in China, threatening America. And I was like, you know what? You're 100% right. I'm going to give you a final thought, about 30 seconds, Eric, and we'll let you go. What's your final thought here?
It's called strength, Eric. That's my final thought. When you actually have somebody who has charisma, who has strength, who has fight, you don't have the problems that we have right now. Unfortunately, you have an administration that's lazy. They don't have strength. They don't have charisma. They don't have fight for the United States of America. And because of that, we're going to hell. We need real leadership back. And I think that's why you saw the defeat of Liz Cheney last night. You're seeing a totally new crop of Republicans coming in. These Republicans are pro-America. They love the USA. They love red, white, and blue. They love our national anthem. They love our Pledge of Allegiance. I think 2022 is going to be a great year. And hopefully 2024 is even going to be better. So God bless America. We love this country more than anything, and we're going to continue to fight for it.
We'll do, Eric. Best to Lara, best to the kids, and best to the dad and everyone else and your brother. Great talking to you. See you again soon. Eric Trump, everybody.
Thanks, Eric.